So, this is gonna be about McDonald's, and it's not gonna be about food. I'm not eating that kind of food. I haven't in quite some time, to be honest. I really haven't in quite some time. I think it must be 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So since I've actually started to eat healthy, I haven't even touched a burger since then. Besides some handmade, well, not handmade, but homemade burgers that my mother did, or some parents of somebody else did, or whatever. Where I'm just always sure that it is clean and it is okay to eat them. But yeah, more to McDonald's gonna be after the intro. The great motherfucking intro, as always. As always and as every single day. And yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And why am I talking like this? The thing is, if you, just before I forget to mention it, and the funny thing is, I won't fucking forget, because it is so in my mind. If if you do, want to consume this episode, but you do not have the time for listening to me on this YouTube video, so if you are on the YouTube video, and if you're not just really, I don't want to say able, but if you do not have the time to actually watch this full episode, 30 minutes long, 40 minutes long, whatever it might be, please check out the link in the description. There is going to be a link to the podcast version of this, which means that you can listen to it, which is a pretty handy thing because you can do something simultaneously, which means that maybe you're listening to the podcast or you're listening to this particular episode while you're walking your dog. And therefore you're just doing two things at a time, which you wouldn't be able to do when you're just listening and or watching the YouTube video. If you're watching the YouTube video, you might be doing something else besides that. But, with the podcast, you're able to pretty much do anything. With the video, it is like, not really, But yeah, it is just really handy. But as I said before, we are going to talk about McDonald's. And it's partly also going to be about investments, because it is about a CNBC Make It article by Anna Hecht or whatever from the 25th of September 2015, and it was just updated an hour ago. And so it is a fairly new article. Now we are having the 26th September of 2019, and it really is a new article. A quote-unquote new article, so it's like, it is not old. It is it is pretty recent, It is pretty recent. And I was interested in it just at second glance, to be honest. At the first glance, it was just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it is about investment, and the 1K is going to probably, I don't know, it's going to be fifth-folded or something. It's just going to be more, significantly more, because I assume that McDonald's just grew quite a lot over the past 10 years. I at least assume. The thing is, it did, of course. It did grow. It's not going to be less than a K or something. It grew. It really grew. And significantly, as well, to be honest. As well. I think they were talking about 400%, which means fourfold, which means 4 times. And as they say there, if you invested in McDonald's 10 years ago, the decision would have paid off. A 1K investment in 2009 would be worth more than 5,000 as of September the 20th, 2019, for a total return of around 400% according to CNBC calculations. In the same time frame, by comparison, the S&P 500 earned a total return of nearly 250%. The fast food giant, which went public in 1965, has a current share price around $212, which is actually not that bad, to be honest. If you think about it, like, I do really have to say, and they're also going to talk about reinvestments and how they are reinvesting in the brand and how they are actually spending their money, and they're actually doing some pretty damn good shit there. They're really doing some good shit. Something that I especially want to point out is those kiosks, as they I think call them, that they have been launching in 2018. So as they say in the article, that isn't the first time McDonald's has given stores a tech revamp, whatever. In June 2018, the burger chain began adding self-order kiosks at 1,000 restaurants per quarter. I do really have to say, we are also having in Austria those self-order kiosks, and which is something actually pretty not common. I don't know if Austria is actually a pretty good marketplace or just a pretty good part of the market share of McDonald's itself, because we don't have KFCs. We actually really don't have a lot of Burger Kings. They just don't work in Austria. And we actually don't have anything else. We're having some normal grocery stores, but we are definitely not having a lot of chains. We are not having steak and the other thing. Don't remember. There is some chain called Steak and something. We have Subway. Subway is something that we're having, but we are not having a lot of things. We are actually having one KFC, I guess, and this KFC is in Vienna, of course. In the biggest city that we're having, and it makes sense, of course. It really makes sense, but it is just really interesting. Because it just popped into my mind that we are really not having a lot of things, but we are having those self-order kiosks, and if I do remember correctly, a lot of people haven't been that happy about them, in the first place, because of course there is some learning curve. There definitely is some learning curve, but there is also a reason why they did them, and they are smart fucking people. And since they actually did that, since they actually have those self-order kiosks, I really believe in it. I really believe that there's just some smart ass dudes there, or girls, of course. They're really smart about the business, and they're really smart about consumers as well, because one of the main reasons why I think that those self-order kiosks are so incredibly good are because you don't have to talk to somebody. It might actually seem to be quite a quite funny reason maybe, or quite dumb reason as well, but I really believe so, because maybe it is just because I'm seeing it with myself. If I'm able to just not communicate with somebody, I'm gonna do that. I'm actually gonna do this. This might be just some kind of issue that we're having in our generation. It really might be the thing, but they just did it really well. And I think they also decided just because of that reason. I just like to go to that kiosk, and I haven't been buying. Have I? Yeah, I have bought something at this kiosk, but it's no, wait. I have been eating at McDonald's. I've eaten a wrap, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, something like that. Since they're having the kiosk system, I bought one of those, and it is just a really great way, because the thing is, I can go up to one of these kiosks, and I really do feel like that a lot of people actually feel about those things the exact same way as I'm feeling about them, which is they're just great, And I also believe that they're just saving them a lot of time. They are honestly saving, especially the employees there, actually a lot of time, because they only have to serve it while you're actually tipping on the screen, whatever, and you actually, you're actually also going to buy it. If you're not buying with card or whatever, or paying with card, then you have to step there to this guy or to this girl and pay it, at this register or whatever, and during that they're already able to actually make your fucking meal. Or just basically take it and put it into their bags or whatever, and then give it to you, because I don't think that they're just gonna, they're actually constantly making food, I guess. But the thing is, first of all, they are really efficient. Let's actually, McDonald's kiosk. And I actually also didn't know that it is called kiosk all over the world, It really isn't something that I've been thinking, but I only thought because kiosk is actually a German word. Maybe it is an English word, and it's just I don't know, Germanized or something. Really interesting, but they look different, as you can see. Like here, just they look different. It might be an older version of them, could also be the case, but at my place they look more like that. Yeah, they exactly look like that. And the thing is, I can step to them, I can walk to them. I could also drive to them, like I could fucking drive my fucking car into the fucking McDonald's, but I can go to them and then just search through all the things that they're having, through all the products, through all the things that they're actually having, and just choose one. And it is really easy, because the thing is, if I'm not a frequent, if I'm really not a frequent customer of McDonald's, I obviously don't know what the whole shit is called. Like, there is a Mac burger and there is a Mac something. Of course, I just do not know what the whole things are called, and it just makes it way easier for me to buy things, because I do not have to be like, well, what is this called? I would just want to have a burger, actually, just a normal hamburger. Is this okay? Can I have that? And I could just use the screen, just tap in what I actually want to have, and just search through all the things, all the products that they're having, and then choose what I want to have. First of all, this is a great reason why I believe it was a good decision. Besides the thing that you don't have to interact with somebody, and also that they're way more efficient because they're able to just produce, and I guess it is just, I think they're also able to make more money because of them, because they do not have to have somebody at the register, because normally there would have always been just 2 or 3 people at the register, and now they don't have any register any longer, which might be bad for the people that have been working there, but I assume it was just definitely one of the kind of lower jobs or something. I guess, I don't know. But I really guess it was a pretty good investment. But the thing is, it isn't their latest investment, because they have also been investing into the future in 2019 by actually buying a startup. So I'm going to read it, because I don't know it. Although the company has been around for decades, McDonald's continues to innovate, which just has to be a must, I guess. To enhance its drive-through experience, the company recently agreed to acquire Apprenti. It is Apprente, a Silicon Valley-based artificial intelligence company. In March, it began installing technology from Dynamic Yield, another recent acquisition into more than 8,000 drive-through machines around the US. The machine learning tech allows menus to change based on the time of day, restaurant traffic, weather, and the customer's order. As I've been reading that, I thought well, why doesn't that matter? Why doesn't it matter that I'm having just a different menu because there's more traffic, or because I am me? It might be about data, and it might be... the thing is, it definitely is about data. If they know that at a specific time, people are going to buy this and that, or they're going to buy more of this and that. Therefore, I'm going to have a different menu than at a different point of time. Or actually, this person with this kind of plate, they could also be scanning that. I don't fucking know if they're allowed to do that in the US. I don't know, in Europe, I guess I don't think that they're allowed to do that, but I don't know. I really don't know. I think it is merely about data. I think it is really about data and about making more money, obviously. I guess this is just really not a kind of secret or something, that they just want to make more money. And I guess it is also not something that you should be kind of, I don't know, angry about or something, because I don't know their company, and of course they are willing to just make more money, and it cost them $4 billion or something. Or no, they so McDonald's has its eyes set on making delivery a $4 billion business this year. So only delivery, because something that I've also seen with them, and something that I just also really like that they're doing this. They just listen. They just listen to the consumer. A lot of other just restaurants and people and whatever, I often feel that way. I really often feel that way, that just a lot of companies just do not listen. They do not listen to the consumer. They do not listen to what the consumer actually wants. And delivery is definitely something that the consumer wants. And what is easier than just being like, okay, Grubhub, and there's also actually another company in Austria that is allowed to do that. What is better, than just having or partnering up with another company and being like, okay, maybe it was just, I really do assume that it would be too expensive for them to have their own delivery service. And just using something that is already working, of course, it's a good thing. And the only thing that they are having to do is just going into a McDonald's, buying the shit that the customer wants, and then delivering it. And that's quite it. And, I don't know if they're just somehow getting... I don't know if McDonald's gets the full price, of course, because they have to buy the meal first basically. But I guess the delivery service obviously also gets some piece of the cake. You know, I don't I don't really think that they would be doing it, without getting any money. They wouldn't really be doing this. But it just really, or also has been a really good decision of them that they are doing this, because people buying a lot of things, people online, so that they get delivered these things, whether it be food and food. I don't know. Food has been one of the things that I guess people haven't been thinking about just getting delivered. Well, no, totally bullshit. Like pizza and whatever, it has been delivered for really a long time, Or has it? Has there been some delivery? I kind of really feel right now that there's something pretty normal, but I do assume that it hasn't been the case for quite some time, especially, also not just using the internet, just phone your pizza service of your favorite one and being like, yeah, I want to have a fucking pizza and please deliver it to me. Yeah, they did it. They just did it. And it is really not it is a pretty recent thing, I guess. It's a pretty recent also trend, that basically everybody has to deliver things. And I'm also seeing it in my hometown. Like, it is a pretty small town with 18K people living there. I guess maybe it's 20 by now. But it is really interesting to see that everyone's delivering. And I do really assume that it is not something that they want to do, but they have to do it. Because not everyone, like, of course, there's going to be your favorite pizza shop or pizza restaurant, and just getting it delivered is pretty convenient and pretty nice. So you do not have to go out, you do not have to drive there, you do not have to go there, and just paying a little bit more for the convenience of that is totally fine. And often it is actually for free as well. So why wouldn't you use it? Like, yeah, really, why wouldn't you? Pretty easy thing. But it was just a really, really, really important decision, I guess, from them. Really important one. And I think they will still innovate. And also the advertising, they are just good. I still doubt that all these post advertisings on the streets are so effective. But I don't know. I think they just have to have some social media ads as well. But I couldn't, on YouTube, they're sometimes having some clips, But on Instagram and whatsoever, I think it is actually not that much, if I remember correctly. But I'm not quite sure. I'm really not quite sure. But is there anything else in this article that I want to talk about? It has also been about, I think, Warren Buffett talking about the stock, and it is somehow, it's been good. It's been really great to buy for quite some time, but it is something like, yeah. So I'm reading it. While he refers to McDonald's as a great stock, Joseph Terranova, a senior managing director of Virtuous Investment Partners, said recently on CNBC's halftime report that he is currently hanging on nervously to McDonald's given the recent downturn in its share price. If this continues, he says, the company's shareholders may feel pressure to sell. They really might. So if you are considering getting into investing, experts such as Warren Buffett often advise starting with index funds, like the S&P 500, they say, because since index funds fluctuate with the market, they are less risky than individual stocks, making them a safer choice for beginners. They are definitely a pretty safe option. Buffett has also been known to give two general pieces of advice to investors. First, he says to invest in companies that have long-term value. Second, he advises investing in businesses you understand. And if you don't understand, you should also not be investing it. What an investor needs is the ability to correctly evaluate selected businesses. Note that word selected. You don't have to be an expert on every company or even many. You only have to be able to evaluate companies within your circle of competence. Something that Warren Buffett said, and I do believe in it, and I do think that it is actually pretty good advice. But let's actually go through another core question for the end of this episode now. How can I stop living in the past? Actually, a pretty great question, but I do not have an answer for that. I actually don't have an answer for that. I suddenly felt a pain in my forehead, then I felt a sudden fatigue and sleepiness that I tried to sleep on the floor after I after a while I feel sick. Can you explain what just happened? Probably, unfortunately, something not really good, I guess. Really, unfortunately. What is an impressive number of books to read in a year? 2 million? Is this impressive enough? I guess it actually is. Am I the only one that reads magazines back to front? Did I do it? In some occasion, I'm also doing this because of a certain reason. Yeah. When I'm actually editing the videos, to actually get some parts for social media, I tend to edit it from back to front. Because often it is the case that I'm repeating a lot of things, and then when I'm going from back to front, I'm seeing all of the repetitions, and just because I watched through it the first time just from left to right basically, and not from right to left, kind of obviously as well. But it's just, I somehow feel like, even though as I'm just thinking about it, it doesn't make any sense, but I somehow feel like that I'm just seeing things that I wouldn't be able to see, when I'm editing from back to front. When I am actually cutting out some parts for social media. When I'm normally editing something, I'm just normally going from front to rear, I guess, something. How do you manage time? What is something I can do right now to increase my productivity? What would you most like to improve? How can I be less emotional? Why do I keep getting self-injury thoughts even if I don't want to do? Phases, I guess. Sometimes it is in your mind and it's gonna leave. Hopefully. Really hopefully. Like, really, really hopefully. How do I be disciplined and motivated? What is something I can do every day to make myself more employable? It is actually a pretty nice question. Let's talk about this question. I guess being valuable to a company, to a potential company, is one of the most important things to consider and also to think about when you're trying to get employed. Because nobody would actually, everybody would take you if you're really valuable to the company. And I guess doing what the company is actually doing, if it is a company that is about marketing, then market some shit on your own and get a lot of experience and a lot of, if I'm actually getting that right, I think employable is actually, does mean being employed or getting employed, or being able to be employed, or you know what I mean. But I guess that it's a good way to read a lot, or just to gain a lot of knowledge, experience, all those things. Yeah, definitely. I think, but I experience more than both sides, I guess. Knowledge and experience, I guess both of them are really important. Both of them, not one of them, both of them, really important. But yeah, I think this is going to be the end of the episode. Make it a little bit shorter, so that people do not have to watch just such a long thing, But yeah, I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success. And also you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, because we can totally shape how we are going to be remembered, by just, for example, being a nice person, then also being remembered as a nice person, which sometimes even does not work, because there's going to be somebody that dislikes you, even though you're super kind and super generous and super. And why, maybe? Because it is about them. Then it is really not about you, it is about them. And even though I really hate blaming some other people, but if you're just really kind and whatever to everybody, it's not about you then, I guess. I don't know every situation, but I guess. Some 3 questions that I also want you to think about and also ask yourself are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? And these 3 questions are hopefully going to just show you your purpose in life and maybe add some meaning to your life through showing you your purpose. And yeah, please subscribe to the podcast and also to the YouTube video. It would really mean a lot to me. Asterius, subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. It is quite some work there. I see you the next time.